This is lecture number 36. What were the flaws of the Treaty of Versailles? We're going to talk about the 14 points, 3 elements of the 14 points right here, or 3 facts related to the 14 points. A very good metaphor, the peace built on quicksand. And these 3 facts will help explain that, and the war guilt clause. So, at the end of the Great War, what they determined, the plan that was going to help end the war or create the peace treaty was called the 14 points, and that's from your reading. And that's his post-war plan. And one of the major elements of that post-war plan, as you saw from the map, or as you will see from the map activity, is self-determination. And you want basically to allow people to decide for themselves how they wish to live. So this is what the map looks like, and you actually notice that these words are in German. So Italy is over here. Austria-Hungary really takes a hit. It's broken up into the countries of Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Yugoslavia, Albania. Romania takes a little bit of chunk of land. So Poland makes a reappearance on the map. So all of these things, self-determination in Europe really is kind of the backbone of the peace plan. His concept was if you had independent countries, you were more likely to keep peace. In addition, the 14th point was the League of Nations, and it was supposed to be an international association designed to keep peace amongst the nations. And this is a political cartoon kind of showing that. You've got European nations kind of pulling on the United States. And this is a U.S. idea. It's kind of a real break from the United States. They used to isolate themselves from events in Europe, but now they're getting really involved. So the U.S. Senate actually is the one in charge of who joins the treaty. And one of the great ironies that you'll study next year in U.S. history is the U.S. Senate votes not to join the League of Nations. So the League of Nations happens. It's a U.S. idea, but the U.S. does not join. We actually sign a separate peace treaty with all the warring nations. So in the end, the Treaty of Versailles, the U.S. doesn't join the League, and self-determination is granted to European countries, but it is denied to European colonies in Africa and Asia. This will play a major role in the Middle East. You can see here countries that were heavily involved in Iraq, where we fought a war, Iran, where we've had a lot of issues, Syria, Lebanon, this area known as Palestine, which later becomes Israel, Jordan. So these countries have a lot of political influence or a lot of attention from the United States, and they're kind of formed after the Treaty of Versailles. Territorial losses. Germany surrenders all its overseas colonies in China to Japan. Japan was actually an ally during World War I, and then they're going to fight us in World War II. The Ottoman Empire lost a lot of lands in the Middle East to France and Britain. Palestine goes to Britain. Up here, Syria goes up to France. Jordan and Iraq go to the British. And the British try to maintain control, but they really can't later on. Military restrictions. So Germany is restricted to the size of their army. They can only have a very small army. Here's a map of Germany. They're prohibited from importing war material, and they're forbidden from having an air force or submarines. But the greatest flaw of the Treaty of Versailles is this, the war guilt clause. And here it actually is. This is the actual text. The Allied and associated governments affirm, and Germany accepts the responsibility of Germany and her allies for causing all the loss and damage to which the Allied and associate governments and their nationals have been subjected to as a consequence of war imposed on them by the aggression of Germany or allies. So Germany is required to take blame for the war. And the government officials were forced to sign it. Remember, the Kaiser had abdicated, which means he had left his throne. And the officials that were there never saw the clause until they had to sign. So it was very controversial because if you're a German citizen, a German national, or nationalist, you'd say, we didn't start the war. We just were helping our ally, Austria-Hungary. So reparations. Germany is required to pay reparations. They're forced to pay for the war. And they have to pay like $55 billion, something ridiculous amount. And George Clemenceau of France and David Lloyd George of England really pushed for it because that's what Germany had done to France after the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. So this all leads to the creation of the Nazi Party. Here's their symbol, the swastika. They're formed in 1919, and the backbone of it is they're against the Treaty of Versailles, anti-Treaty of Versailles. And many German veterans joined, and they felt stabbed in the back. And we'll talk quite a bit about that in our next unit. Thanks. Bye.